Hello everyone, this is Dennis Helverk, and today we will be looking at a Skull General. So this is another one of my Skull Warriors. I kind of went over their lore in a previous video. So this one will be talking more about just the build and why it is the way it is. So the main reason this figure exists was I had the leftover waste articulated bodies from the Toei Uniters that I had to revamp. Well, that I revamped because I got rid of their swiveling torsos. So I had an extra swiveling torso, and I was inspired by the Toa version of Akimu from Bionicle Generation 2 and how it had the swivel torso and the gearbox. And I decided I wanted to make my own thing, and I had some parts left over from some of the sets I bought for parts, and also some other parts I picked up when there was a sale on a Bricklink seller's store that I bought parts from before. So I came up with this idea. So this is a Skull General. It is basically, in my previous video, I made my Skull Warrior. And this is basically a Skull Warrior who, in its previous lifetime, was a general, kind of like how the Skull Warriors used to be warriors in my universe. And this one, since it used to be a general, it was allowed to maintain more of its faculties when it was reanimated compared to the Skull Warriors. So, because of that, it is less a general and more like a field commander. Like they used to be like generals of whole armies, but now they're just like commanders of like, well, honestly more like pack leaders is what they've become. But yeah, so with its build, I kind of went based off of the actual, I think the set was actually called Skull Warrior. I tried to go off of the actual Skull Warrior like color scheme and stuff, and kind of the idea of making the limbs asymmetrical using that bone section piece, and also making it so that if someone were to get the parts to make this build and get like a bunch of them, they could like swap around where certain parts are to make more complete or less complete versions of the same build. So if I ever, have a seller who has a lot of the parts needed for this build and they have it on sale, I could always buy a bunch of the parts and make a bunch of these guys, but still keep them unique. So now for articulation. There are ball jointed hips, hinge jointed knees, ball jointed ankles, ball jointed shoulders, ball jointed elbows, ball jointed wrists, a ball jointed head, and then since it is made on a uniter torso, it does have a waist swivel, but it also has a gearbox, and I decided to make the gearbox a one-sided gearbox. So the side that has the gear is the arm that wields the hammer. Let me put it in a better position. So the side that wields the hammer is the side with the gearbox. As for the hammer, it has this piece down here. The like end of the hilt is also where it is made of the spare ammunition for the stud shooter, which it has. So this is probably one of my most gimmick heavy figures. I'm also really proud of the parts coverage. I'm really glad I was able to sneak this add-on shell piece back here and cover up the back of this piece with this little 1x2 plate. But overall, that does it for this skull general. Now, another quick little bonus thing to put in this video, because I forgot to cover it in my Skull Spiders video. This is another one of the Skull Spider variants. So this variant of Skull Spider in my universe would be one of the only Skull Spider variants to use the actual original Skull Spider leg piece for its legs. Every other build would use like different legs and stuff, but this is like the only one that would use the actual Skull Spider legs. But so yeah, just wanted to show that for that reason. And of course, just like any Skull Spider, put it on a face. And that is another thing you can do to make like each of these guys more unique, is switch their masks around. I've been kind of doing the idea of like all the foot soldier guys use this mask because I think it looks like the most like, I don't know, like a mask that would exist, like a burial mask. I think it looks the most like a burial mask. The Skull Basher type mask looks too stylized for my liking. But yeah, so that about does it for this figure. I might make some more Skull Villain variants. Heck, I might end up kind of doing revamps, kind of, but not really revamps of all the Skull Villains, because I do think they're really cool sets, and I really love their rib cage pieces, and I want to get 1,000,000 of the rib cage piece to use on other figures. So that about does it for this video, and I will see you in the next one.